everyone, welcome to another episode of Tea Time with Tommy, the pro wrestling podcast with Tommy, NORBZ, and me, Brittany. So on this special episode, we have a wrestling podcast crossover right now with Sean Lennon from the Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast. Let's all raise our glasses to Sean Lennon right now.
Yes, welcome, Sean. Welcome
Cheers.
to the show.
Awesome. So to start things off, like when and how did
guys, I appreciate being on the show. First time.
Good to have you on. Good to have you on, Sean.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Anytime.
Great. And then to start things off, Sean, how and when did you become such a big wrestling fan? What drew you to it?
Well, I used to watch wrestling as a kid, and so that's what got me started. But I really paid attention in the late 90s when we had the Attitude Era. Like right before it started is when I started getting into it. We had the Monday Night Wars, WCW. And it was actually a video game I played on the PlayStation. It was one of those WCW, I think WCW NWO versus the World or something. And because of that game, like, it got me involved because of all the characters, really cool. They were colorful. They were also, you know, the game was really good at the time. It was unlike any other wrestling game, a lot of depth. And pretty much that game introduced me to, like, WCW. And then, you know, WWE is something I watch now and then, but not that often. I was really more into, like, basketball, baseball, football, like, traditional sports. And that video game got me hooked into pro wrestling.
Nice.
Nice, Sean. I gotta ask you this. Like, I really want to know this, man. You got like so many great photos and videos on your account, the Enforcer. I'm very impressed. You got like 4 of them out in a day. I have to ask you, you and Chris, you guys do this on your own? Make these posts, like create the platform and everything, create the designs, or do you have someone that's doing it for you guys? Like how are you guys doing this like every day with so many incredible pictures and photos on your account?
Yeah, well, what we do is we have actually a graphic designer who's going to help with something new. It's going to be for all the paper. We're doing that for TakeOver this year, and we've done that for like the UFC because, you know, that's my other podcast where we cover mixed martial arts. So, yeah, we're fortunate to have a staff behind us. We have Fightlete.com where you can find my pro wrestling page there as well. Up-to-date ticker with all the latest results from the shows. And so, yeah, luckily we have a great team behind us. But, yeah, I do a lot of reposting of other accounts as well. And I always just try to find different things to post, whether it be like me wearing a new pro wrestling shirt, I'm wearing a new Cody shirt. This is my newest shirt I got. So
nice.
Anything like that, I try to add on there. You know, if I have a picture of a wrestler who accomplished something, like with a kid, he just won the ending. You know, I try to highlight them.
Awesome.
Excellent. How much of an impact, speaking of AEW Wrestling, how much of an impact has AEW Wrestling been since its inception a year ago compared to Impact Wrestling or WWE? Like, what has been like? Do you think like how much of an impact they've have in the promotions?
Well, I mean, we go back to like All In 2018, and they actually did the show in Chicago. They actually had a press conference in Chicago at the Pro Wrestling Tee store, which was filled to capacity. The tickets went on sale shortly thereafter, sold out. So the demand was huge, and this was not even a league yet. It was just a one-time show, All In. It was a one-night show. And then after that success, Young Bucks got their name and their picture on the door with Cody, and then they built AEW. And when I think the anticipation just kept building. You're bringing all these wrestlers in from all over the world. Like, and I'm a big independent wrestling fan, so I go to many independent wrestling shows. So I knew it was just a matter of time before they signed some of the best talent that we've been seeing there and local promotions that I've been gone to. Like I mentioned, Warrior Wrestling, the Tommy. So many wrestlers from Warrior Wrestling, they were on their way to AEW, or they're still in it, or they're in AEW. They've come through Warrior Wrestling. So I think the Chicago wrestling market, which is really huge here in the Midwest, like, and that the fact they started their first show here and then they brought it back for their second show and All Out, it was just a Chicago, to me, the Chicago crowd that really got the hype going and really started talking about it, and it just spread like wildfire. And so I just think it was like word of mouth originally, and then, you know, obviously online. And I just think it's a huge promotion because there's so much great talent out there. They don't get seen, you know, unless you're going to all the independent events, unless you have, you know, subscriptions to all these other websites that have like, you know, independent wrestling stuff. It's hard for them to get the exposure. So AEW brought them to limelight, and like Impact is always been around, right? That was like the number 2 to WWE for so long. They have their, you know, their niche audience. You know what I mean? And WWE has, you know, the mainstream. So there was a need for Impact Wrestling, for the talent that couldn't get signed by the other 2 promotions or that wanted to move because who weren't happy with AEW. And, you know, obviously Impact doesn't really keep wrestlers around that long, you know, except for, you know, you know what I mean? When we thought years ago, decades ago, that we'd lose Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and Sting, Bobby Roode, like that was like unheard of. That was like Impact's core roster. So I just feel like when Tony Khan and his family got behind it, that it was limitless. They have the sponsorship, like they have the power to put on what they want. You know what I mean? They had the financial backing, and we've seen it's huge ratings. You know, every week. Their pay-per-views are doing very well, and their shows are sold out. You cannot buy 2 tickets together in a Chicago AEW event. When they do pay-per-view here, you cannot find 2 tickets together. You either go alone, you go, like I tell people, you got to be selfish if you want to go. If you don't, or else you're not going. You got to be selfish. So that just shows you how great it is. Like, and they need to go to bigger venues eventually.
I just want to ask.
Yeah, for sure. They're actually controlling the 18 to 49 demographic, so which is good, and they're incredible right now in their second year.
Definitely, and I've had like
go ahead, Sean,
also the pleasure of interviewing Marco Stunt. We did like a long interview right before he signed with AEW. Well, he signed with AEW, but we had permission to do it, and we had some access with them for the StarCast weekend. So I got to meet Darby Allin, interview him, a short interview with Nyla Rose and Jimmy Havoc. So that whole weekend for StarCast was awesome, and we look forward to when they come back.
Yeah, I just hope AEW comes to Toronto. That's all, guys. I just hope they come to Toronto, Canada one day. They got to bring AEW to Toronto, Canada. So, you know, that's all. Hopefully, Sean, that's going to happen.
Yeah, I think they're working on it slowly. Obviously, we're in the pandemic now, and that's not on their, you know, forte to do. But eventually, when everything opens back up, I'm pretty sure they want to go there. There's still many cities in Chicago and the Midwest that they haven't been to yet. I mean, besides Chicago, there's many in the United States they haven't been to, such as they haven't been to St. Louis. In my neck of the woods, there's a few other cities like Indianapolis they haven't been to, and then, well, they've been to Indianapolis, but not St. Louis. And then there's a few other markets. So I figure once they cover those markets in the United States, and eventually, you know, so they've been to Indianapolis, they've been to Chicago, they've been to Champaign, which is, you know, Southern Illinois, near the capital. But there's still markets to go to, like St. Louis and maybe and a few others that they haven't been to yet. So I feel like once they cover those regions of the United States that they haven't been to yet, they'll eventually migrate the shows to Canada to perform on a regular schedule. You have to remember they don't do house shows at this time. It's just Dynamite, and they do 4 yearly pay-per-views. So they only do 1 show a week, so they're not going to be able to cover as many terrain as like WWE would, you know, because they're doing house shows, they're doing pay-per-views, they're doing like 3, 4, 6 hours of TV a week. So just keep that in mind. But eventually they'll grow big enough where they're going to come up there and maybe do more content on TV as well.
Yeah. And also curious, where are you from?
I'm from Chicago.
Oh, you're from Chicago.
Hey,
nice.
Yeah.
Let's go,
One of the greatest cities in the world.
Let's go, Chicago Cubs.
Yes, big pro wrestling city.
Yeah,
Awesome.
totally.
Awesome. And then speaking,
are you all from Toronto?
Let's go Raptors. Yeah,
we are.
Oh, we're Raptors Nation right now. So
awesome.
Yeah. And then
Beautiful city.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. No, you can jump in. But I was like saying, speaking of like all these live events, like pre-COVID, what was like the most memorable wrestling event you've been to?
Well, I would say every AEW pay-per-view I've been to has been amazing. I've been fortunate to be at, I've gone to, let's see, I think 3 AEW events live, yeah,
Awesome.
3. Yeah, and I've been to one Dynamite that actually we did media for. We didn't really have access to the wrestlers, which wasn't, great. And we were actually in like the upper level for media. It's like unheard of. I don't know if you guys have done media for WWE or AEW.
Me and Britt did it once.
Like AEW. Oh, you did it? Okay.
Summer
So we didn't really have access to anything. Just it was like a free ticket for Dynamite. It was fun. Sold out for Sears Center for All Out last year, the first All Out, and then sold out for Revolution, which was part of C2E2 weekend, right before everything got shut down. And so we were fortunate to be there for Revolution as well. He was fortunate to buy tickets for both of those pay-per-views, and like I said, you had to be selfish on that one. If people would ask me, can you grab me a ticket? I'm like, hey man, the lottery, you're basically putting a lottery and then at the sides. And then of course everybody that's like in the game of lottery, they're buying up all the tickets for like 4 minimum or 8 minimum or maximum. So by the time it gets to me, I'm just clicking that mouse, and luckily one popped up for All Out. Like I kept spamming that thing to try to get one, and finally one came up. Whatever price it is that comes at, you take it. Like, I always wanted to pay less, but at the end of the day, lower level for like 80, 90, guess what? You can't beat it. It's just an incredible experience. I would say All Out was the better one of the two, but they were both amazing. And so I would say All Out and then Revolution. We also go to an event called Warrior Wrestling. I mentioned it, Tom, and that's where we had some AEW wrestlers come through there. So I would say Warrior Wrestling is the best event here that we go to. It's not a monthly show. It's like every 2 months or so, but we just had like something called the Warrior Stadium Series, where it was 3 weeks in a row. I got to cover that as media, and those shows are amazing. I mean, we've had Minoru Suzuki, right, from New Japan come through there. This is an event that's in Chicago. We've had Will Ospreay, Chaos come through there. You know what I mean? Amazing Red, Rocky Romero. We've had Lance Archer, who has been there several times, right before AEW, and AEW Wardlow's been there. I mean, the list goes on and on. And the Lucha Brothers as well. We've had all the stars from Impact have come through there. Madison Rayne wrestled her last independent match outside of Impact. That was her last match. She did that at Warrior. We had the only match this year with Tessa Blanchard, since she left Impact. That was at Warrior Wrestling. She defended the Warrior Wrestling Women's title against Kylie Ray. So, there's some magical, like, once-in-a-lifetime matches. Like, we saw SCU versus OVE. So, Warrior Wrestling, I told Tommy about it. Check it out. And if you guys ever had the pleasure of coming to the Chicago area, we're welcome to come enjoy their events. So, that's right on par with the AEW shows, is Warrior Wrestling. They are can't miss.
We're gonna come pay a visit. We're gonna come pay a visit there, Sean.
Definitely. I mean, the thing is, if they do All Out in Chicago again, Warrior Wrestling does a show that weekend on Sunday.
Oh wow!
And usually they'll have wrestlers from AEW that are there too. So they've been doing that for the past 2 years. So it's an amazing time, and you get the media access as well.
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow, that's incredible. You guys must cover so many events per year, prior to COVID. I'm really curious. Is there a specific storyline or feud that really interests you the most?
Well, I mean, there's been so many great feuds and stuff. It's just hard to touch, touch on that. But it's just we've had Brian Pillman Jr. I don't know if you know him. He was in AEW Dynamite. Yeah. He had a great feud in AEW with in All Elite Wrestling, and he's part of All Elite Wrestling, but he's also part of Major League Wrestling, and he is the current Warrior Wrestling champion. One of his feuds was with a local guy named Robert Anthony, who was also featured on AEW Dark, as recently as well. So that was a great feud. That's a really memorable feud that went between the two. I mean, going back to AEW Wrestling, man, so many great feuds, and Seth Rollins wrestled there, Tyler Black, Heidi Lovelace, who is now Ruby Riott. Tyler Black had a great feud with Jerry Lynn. that moved on, you know, that he for the belt. That was like my first time going there. He also had a feud with Merrick Brave, which is his one of his best friends and a train partner for his coach for his own wrestling school. They had a great feud. You can look it up. There's been so many. I mean, in Chicago, guys always have feuds. They always have, you know, they kind of blur the line of reality, what's not reality. I mean, they're just like fighting in the crowd, going crazy. We've had
Wow.
staple guns, anything goes. So that's just hard to touch on. I mean, you know, from the independent wrestling, you know, it's hard to touch on. Like, I'd have to go back and look at it, but there's just been so many great rivalries, especially in Chicago. I mean, because, you know, AEW is another promotion. They bring in talent from Impact Wrestling all throughout the world as well. So there's been so many memorable moments, memorable matches. You know, Sami Callihan, he's had some great feuds as the AEW champion with Michael Elgin, among others, also with Pentagon. Pentagon beat him for the belt too. So Sami Callihan has had like so many. Like, we see Sami Callihan in Impact Wrestling, and then there's a whole nother world to him when you watch him in the independent scene, and just some of the great rivalries he's had as well. So right off the top of my head, that's hard to say. I'm sure if I could go back and look at everything, you know, there'd be many more. But, you know, off the top of my head, those are some of the top feuds. You know, actually, Brian Pillman Jr. has had some great matches in Warrior Wrestling, so you can check those out as well. Guys, I want to ask you guys about wrestling too. Like, when you guys watch like American wrestling and you watch shows in Canada, is there any difference to you between the shows? Like, if you go to a local independent wrestling show in Canada and then you go to, like, you know, the WWE events or what you see on TV.
Yeah, absolutely. I went to a couple of local shows myself, and it's just totally different how WBE does it. It's like it's for family-filled entertainment. They're well prepared. They have a lot of finance behind it. Or if you go to a local show, it's still well done. It's just like, but you can see the wrestlers really, you know, the ones that really want to make it. They go the extra mile in the local area. Whereas in WBE, they're still doing the best they can, but they know they made it. But in the local one, the ones that really want to make the next level, you can kind of see that with them.
Definitely.
Yeah. I've never been to a show in the U.S. For wrestling, but I've been to a lot of local shows up here in Canada, in the Greater Toronto area, and UWA was my personal favorite when they had some shows here in near Toronto. The fans were absolutely crazy. Like, the matches have been, most of them were intense. Like, M-Dog 20 was one of the wrestlers that wrestled. Ultimo Dragon made an appearance. Nice. Chris Hero, Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli back in the day. Incredible people. Like, I've seen those wrestlers like grow up and really excel from the independent scene all the way to WWE. Absolutely intense matches in the independent promotions. I've been to a lot of WWE pay-per-views and events. It's also very lively. However, it's more there's some excitement there too, but not as much as independent wrestling. It's a wild scene, and a lot more passionate fans that they go to those events.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can feel it, man. It's just like America, when we go to these shows in the Midwest, I can tell, because also in Canada, they have another great promotion up there that what's his name runs, Ego. Ego.
There's a Smash Wrestling.
Smash Wrestling.
There's Smash Wrestling, and then there's Niagara Wrestling or something like that.
There's a lot. I mean,
they're all over.
There's a lot in Canada. There's Danforth, Greektown Wrestling, that was going on. So we were trying to reach out to the owner, but he didn't get back. But he's running that right now. Too cool for this show.
Well, Ethan Page runs a
you're the cool one. You're the cool one,
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
Ethan Page, he runs a really great show out there. I think I don't think he's from Toronto though. I think he's from another region, but he runs a really great show out there as well. So you guys ever check it out? I forget the name of it. I think it's called. I'm looking it up right now, but dude, his shows are amazing. Like, I would love to go up there to watch his shows.
Hey, well,
For sure.
I'll meet
You
up
know,
in
and
Canada.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, I mean, it's one of the top shows, and it's like I just can't get it off the top of my head, but it's really it's really one of the best shows. So like they've had like so many stars. They went to NXT and WWE, AEW that came through there, and it's really amazing. I think it's awesome just to see like the talent, you know, and how they grow over time, you know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
no,
Sure.
for sure. Tom Norbs, do you have anything else to say for our guest Sean Lennon, or were you gonna wrap this up?
No, I just want to say thank you, Sean, for coming on, man. And this is
Oh, no worries.
yeah, come back again. We want to have you back again. Hopefully, we can visit Chicago and we can see a wrestling.
Yes.
There, you can come to Toronto. Give us a shout, and we can see an event here after the
Yes.
pandemic ends. So yeah, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the show.
Definitely, man. No, it's a positive. I was just trying to see if I could find that wrestling promotion, but I'll send you them on Instagram.
Oh, we got each other on Instagram
Really,
now.
Totally.
yeah. It's
Sure.
really one of the best promotions that I'm like, wow, I gotta go. I think Smash Wrestling I did here, and I know that. Did you guys actually go to the when SummerSlam was here last year? Did you go to the women's show that they had? It was called the Summit. Did you hear about that?
I heard about the summit.
Yeah.
We couldn't go to
I
that
know
one.
Tony Storm was there for Progress, and the Summit had like local favorite like Nicole Matthews. She's actually from Canada. I like her a lot, and the fact that she can't come across the border U.S. sucks. Obviously, with pandemic, she couldn't, but she's banned for like several years, which sucks. But
Oh man.
she's like a former Shimmer champion, and
She'll be back.
yeah, she will. But the thing is, we've had a lot of great Canadian wrestlers like Lufisto, Nicole Matthews, among others that came to Shimmer. I don't know if you heard of Shimmer. That's an all-women's wrestling promotion in Berwyn. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're lucky to have that. I'm actually, like 30, 40 minutes from there. Amazing show. And we've had people from all over the country, even all over the world, come out and watch their shows too.
Wow.
Yeah, we had Lufisto on not too long ago in our podcast
Awesome.
as well. Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So I just want to say shout out to May, the Canadian woman out there that we've seen over in Shimmer as well.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
last question, Sean. Where can people find the Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast?
So we can find it on Apple Podcasts. We also have our YouTube channel, Fightlete, which is adjacent to the Fightlete Report. So you can watch some of my MMA interviews as well as the pro wrestling interviews. But if you want just pro wrestling, go to fightlete.com/Pro Wrestling Enforcer Podcast, and that really has everything that I've done for the Pro Wrestling Enforcer Podcast. Whether it be audio, video, everything is updated on there. I mean, if you're not subscribed on Apple or on Spreaker.com, that's the next best place, because it's also got all my video content as well. And listen, we're just getting started. We're gonna work on getting more content as we go along, but we're excited for the future. We're excited to have Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast, and it's real busy because I cover the MMA world and pro wrestling world, but it works out. So it's fightlete.com/wrestling, and that is the Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast, like their official webpage. You can find part of the Fightlete Report as well. All of my content that's related to wrestling will be on there.
Well, it's been such a pleasure having you on, Sean. Well,
Definitely.
let's raise our glasses to Sean
Okay.
Lennon one more time.
I wish I had a glass too, but I'll do a thumbs up for you.
Thumbs up.
Okay.
Where's your
And
glass?
And that's a wrap on the episode.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate you guys, and best of luck.
Thank
I know where I'll stay on.
Thank you. You too.
you guys, and thank you, everyone. Take care.
Take care.